Hi everyone, this is Nina with Phonetic Reading with Silent Elephant E, and the subject of our email and this video today is research. Research is very important to Linda and I at Phonetic Reading with Silent Elephant E because we wrote Silent Elephant E based on the research on best ways for teaching reading, writing, and spelling, the science of reading, on dyslexia, and the best ways to teach a dyslexic how to read, write, and spell. We are always staying up with the latest on the research, and two people that we follow closely are Dr. Sally Shaywitz and Dr. Stanislaus DeHaan. Dr. Sally Shaywitz focus is mainly dyslexia, and Dr. DeHaan is focused on how our brain learns and specifically how our brain learns to read. So today I want to share some information on how our brain learns to read. And I really want you to know this information because you are the educator sitting down in front of your children, and when you are sitting there in front of them, I would love for you to understand what is going on in their brain, because that way you will feel more ease in teaching them to read, write, and spell. So recently, as I said, we have really been focused with Dr. DeHaan, and he is a neuroscientist, and what he does is, using MRIs, he has been able to observe how our brains process printed material. In other words, how our brain reads. So he's watching, we're using MRIs, how our brains read and how they change as we learn to read more and more and more. This is very exciting because he has been watching how our brains change as we learn to read, and he has been watching how our dyslexic learners' brains also change as they are learning to read. So let's talk about reading and how it works. Of course, we know it's going to be starting with our eyes because we're looking at a page and there's the word cat and it's printed material on a page. Well, our eyes see that word and it then sends it to our brain through energetic messages, electronic messages, and it first goes to, this word first goes to a part in our lower left hemisphere called the letter box or the word area box. When that part, our letter box, receives this information, this electronic message from our eyes, the first thing it does is start trying to put it together. Or it just does start putting it together, and it does it from the smallest bit of information to the largest bit of information, meaning it starts with individual letters and then it hooks those individual letters into like blends, digraphs, prefixes, suffixes, etc., and then it gets the whole word. When it has the whole word, it instantaneously sends it off to the parts of the brain that are going to understand the meaning of it and the sound of it. And all of that happens so fast, as you know, because when you look at the word cat, you know the word cat. Okay, so one of the things that we are understanding is how our letter box, the more we are practicing the skills in reading and the more we are learning new skills in reading, our letter box becomes better at doing what it does. So it becomes faster and faster and faster at processing those information that it's receiving from the eyes into words and sending it on. This is what creates our fluency, our accuracy, and our automaticity. And this letter box is where our beautiful three-dimensional thinking dyslexic children and friends slow down a bit because their letter box is not used to putting things together in linear form. And so when it receives the information from our eyes, it's not quite sure what to do with it because it's always always doing things three-dimensionally. So it doesn't know how to put it together. It may not get it together, and therefore it can't send it on. And so our dyslexics are confused or stopped right there altogether. Well, here's the exciting things that Dr. DeHaan is sharing with us. With his MRIs, he is watching how our brains can change, adapt, and create new structures in our brains. Now, this is every single person that's always doing it. This is neuroplasticity. We're all doing it. As we learn new stuff, as we practice skills, we're learning, and our brain is changing, as is our dyslexic children. Their brain is changing too. In reading, it is changing. When we are teaching them, and this is what he's finding out, when we are teaching them the way that their three-dimensional brain and their three-dimensional world works for them. So when we teach them the way they are learning three-dimensionally, they learn, and their letterbox begins to change itself so that it is processing that. It understands that it needs to put it in linear order, and so it puts it in linear order. It comes up with the word, it sends it to the other parts of the brain, and it is reading. Cat on the page is cat for it. That is so exciting. It's especially exciting because, as you probably guessed, Phonetic Reading with Silent Elephant E is the program that teaches our dyslexic children the way that Dr. DeHaan is suggesting that we teach our dyslexic children. In other words, they are that three-dimensional person, then we need to activate their letterbox the way they're seeing their words, so we have to do it three-dimensionally. We have to do it through all of their five senses, through taste. We do it through sound, we do it through imagination, through drawing, through art, through puppetry, through anything that involves their whole self, anything that is playful. Think the word playful. They need to look at reading in a playful way. When we do that, their letterbox realizes that the information coming from the eyes needs to be put in that linear way, and we practice with them with all of the different ways, the colors, the symbols, everything. They're practicing, their letterbox changes itself. They have practiced it enough that their letterbox knows that they want to be putting it in. It wants to be putting it in that linear way and making words out of it. And then it immediately shoots it off to the other parts of the brain for meaning and sound. In other words, they are reading. They're developing fluency, accuracy, and automaticity. This is so exciting. When we teach them the way they learn, they don't struggle. They just learn, and then their world is open up. Their world is so open to read anything that they want to read. This is so very, very, very exciting. Next email and video will be about questions specifically about dyslexia that have been coming in. Until then, I hope you're as excited about this as I am. I love this information. I love knowing that our dyslexics do not need to struggle. See you then.